How's it going, guys? My name is Matt, this is my beard, the fork mic is back, and let's jump into some Dark Angels. Now, this month saw the release of the Death Corps of Krieg, and that box is beautiful. I genuinely love that box, and had I have not put as much time and money into the Deathwing, I would be seriously considering the Death Corps of Krieg, and that's probably going to happen. I'm not going to even sit here and try and lie to you. I've already made some inroads with some people in the know about a box of Death Corps of Krieg, and I may very well be getting a box of the Death Corps of Krieg. So, in the meantime, I am going to crack on with my Dark Angels, because to be honest with you, whilst the Death Corps of Krieg look cool, they don't have the same kind of ring to them as what the Dark Angels have with me. Now, I really love the bits of backstory that I've read about the Dark Angels. I love the idea that they are effectively the Emperor's enforcers, or should I say, the Deathwing Assault are the enforcers of the Dark Angels, who are the enforcers of the Emperor. So being the most badass of badasses, that kind of makes a lot of sense, and I love that. And considering I'm coming from a Xenos background, considering that I absolutely love the Tyranids, they're my first true love in Warhammer, to have the complete polar opposite of that in an army format, from a lore perspective, that's pretty cool in my head. It kind of tickles a bit of my brain I didn't think it would. So let's talk about the Dark Angels for a moment. So I have bought the Deathwing Assault box, the Inner Circle Task Force, the Land Raider Crusader, and I also got a Chaplain, so a Terminator Chaplain. Okay, or Chaplain in Terminator armour for the proper thing. However, I got the Chaplain before before the box was even announced, so I actually have two Chaplains, but that's fine. The Chaplain is built, so the individual Chaplain is already built. I have partially built my Land Raider Crusader, and as of recording this video, I have actually built the Deathwing Assault box. Originally I was going to film try and build in 6 hours or 12 hours or something like that, and I failed miserably. One, in getting the content, because I was just getting too engrossed in actually building it, or building the Deathwing Assault box. But then two, I realised 3 hours into the 6 hour challenge that I'd set myself, that I was only on model 7. That wasn't going to work. So yeah, I would have naturally failed that straight away. However, this is where I'm at so far, so I'll show you on screen now. This is my Deathwing Assault box built up and done. Now, my favourite model that I've built is actually one of the captains of the Terminators, just based on his very stoic pose. He's really it's kind of like a power pose. He's ready to go. There's no sort of fear in that stance in any way, shape or form. It's kind of quite nonchalant in a sense, and I love that idea, and I think that's quite an enigmatic pose. But as for the rest of the army that I've built so far, I think it's really cool. I don't know, there's something about Dark Angels that sits differently with me in comparison to normal Space Marines. So with that in mind, let's talk about the Inner Circle Task Force. Now that predominantly has some knights in it. A lot more knights than anything else, to be honest with you. It's knights, companions, the Lion, and that's pretty much it from memory. Oh, and the Chaplain. Yeah, and the Chaplain as well. 22 models total. Obviously some Watchers in the Dark and some Homers, but outside of that, it's a pretty simple box, pretty straightforward box to get undergoing. So my plan for this video is to actually try and build that box in 12 hours. And that's going to be over a couple of sessions. I'm going to be starting a session directly after I've finished filming this clip. It's probably going to last 2-3 hours. See how much I get done by then. I'll then jump in with another clip just to sort of catch up with you and show you what my progress has been. But outside of that, this is going to be serving as the foundation for all the building side of things for my my Dark Angels. Now, one last thing to note, the total of these two boxes plus the Crusader, that totals 2,015 points when it comes to the game. Now, obviously, that's not a list, that's 2,015 points worth of models. So obviously I have to amend the list slightly to sort of accommodate, and that's not taking into account the Watchers in the Dark. Now, the reality here is I'm probably going to amend that list to a 2,000 point list, and I'm probably going to have to buy some additional bits to add to make it a bit more of a working list. However, from a gaming perspective, I haven't played 40k in about 7 months now. Necromunda's taken over my life, and it's going to continue to take over my life for quite some time because I absolutely love that system. So I think the next video you're going to see from me is going to be the Chimera X getting built, and base coated. I might even try and get it painted as well, should I have the time sort of on the filming schedule side of things. But outside of that, I'm excited. So without further ado, let's get into the first section of my 12-hour challenge, and let's build some Dark Angels. Hello, quick check-in. So, 4 hours and 40 minutes we've done on this challenge so far, and I've built 5 models. The first model I've built is the Lion. It is in a sub-assembly, so I've done the backpack, I've kept the shield off, and he is off of the base, but for the purpose of the shot, I've just sort of balanced everything on there precariously, and obviously his head is kind of piked on a little cork, because obviously I'm painting the head separately. I've built the Chaplain, which took 40 minutes. So the Lion took an hour, the Chaplain took 40 minutes, and the Inner Circle Companions took 3 hours. Now, the reason why they took as long as they did, I was actually on a Discord call for the entirety of that. I was just having a hobby hangout. But I kind of realised that that's probably a bad idea because I was getting distracted by conversations, and then I was like going on my phone and checking stuff out and all that sort of stuff. So that leaves us with 7 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. I think I can do that. So 4 of the models are dead easy. It's the 2 homers and the 2 Watchers in the Dark. They'll take no longer than 5, 10, possibly 15 minutes at a push. And then that leaves us with like 7 hours to do the subsequent 13 models. So 3 Inner Circle Companions, 10 Knights. I'm going to try and get this done as soon as I can. And I'm going to try and possibly change up how I do it. So what I might do for the Knights, I might get them all clipped and put in little piles, and then as I go I'll like sand each part down, glue it all together, and then it's kind of just a case of like doing a batch process from there, because at the moment I'm clipping everything off the sprue, which is taking me forever, like doing all the mold line removal and sanding up as I go, and it's kind of like that's taken up a lot of time. So let's try and be a bit more efficient for this last stint, and we'll take it from there. But yes, everything's coming together. As I'm making them, I'm putting them in with the rest of the guys, and they're looking really cool, like all sort of together. Obviously they're not painted or based or anything, but it's good seeing the force coming together. Right, enough chit chat. I'm going to jump onto these guys. We're now 10 hours and 27 minutes into this challenge, and I've only got one Terminator left. So I think, in fact I know, we're going to smash this out of the park. So this challenge has been really quite interesting. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to prep up this last Terminator, I'm going to build it live, and then we'll have a catch up and I'll show you all of the minis done. Let's do it. So, preparation took 10 minutes, which wasn't that bad, but that's because I was fully concentrating on it and I actually wasn't stopping to glue in between. So we're now just going to build this. Now, I found that this is a really simple kit. However, it's the prep time that takes the work. So once you know what you're doing, once you know what you're doing, it actually becomes dead easy. So I'm just using the Tamiya clear thin cement for this. This is actually a test for me as well. I'm testing this glue in comparison to my my Revell stuff that I usually use, and it's come out quite well, to be honest with you, so far. I quite like the applicator. The applicator is quite it's a joy to use. It's a lot more precise, and I'm not flooding the area with lots and lots of, you know, unnecessary glue. And also it dries super quick. So just going to glue that together there, like so. There we are. Now, for the knees and for the shin pads, I've played with gluing the actual shin pad and then pushing it on, and I've played with gluing the leg and pushing the shin pad on, and I've found that the easiest way to do it is to actually glue the leg and push the shin pad on, because then you stop getting excess on your thumb or your finger, and you stop making thumb and fingerprint marks on the actual shin pad itself. So it just makes it a little bit easier for you when you're doing this. Now, as you can see, this is actually taking little to no time at all, and I am quite far through this process now, so I'm kind of, you know, I anticipate the moves before they come, so to speak. But I'm quite frustrated at myself that I haven't just done this for the entirety, because this, as you can see, is taking literally no time whatsoever. Like, I'm building this in real time. It's just like so simple. So yeah, I think this whole process has been really quite an interesting one and really quite a fun one for me, in the sense that I do enjoy building. There's something that sort of, it just tickles my mind a little bit. It gives me a little bit of a joy, because what I find is when you're doing like an assembly line type process such as this, you find that you kind of go into autopilot to a degree, and I quite like that feeling at the moment. It's just kind of giving me a little bit of calm, and I think when it comes to the hobby, if there's a way that you can ensure that you're giving yourself that little bit of calm, then I think you're onto a winner, because that little bit of calm goes a long way in this hobby. So overall, there's 45 models that have been fully built, and there's one that's partially built, which is the Land Raider Crusader. And the Land Raider Crusader is it's quite an interesting one, because I'm going to be actually painting the inside of it. Now obviously it's going to be, well, it's not really going to be seen by many people, is it? But knowing that I've painted the inside and taken the photos and sort of documenting that process, I think that's going to give me the most joy there. Now, there's 3 parts that I haven't clipped off the sprue just yet, which I am going to do just now, which are the 2 shoulder pauldrons and the lance shield. So we're looking at 81, which is, well, to be fair, I think we'll just go with this one because it's exactly the same and it's the last one, so it doesn't really matter. So the shoulder pauldron, just get off the little bits of nub. Now, if you want to know what these products are, these are sanding sticks, and you get them in a multi-pack off of Amazon for like £13, and they are absolutely ideal. They're like a soft sanding stick. Now, 79 and 80, that's what I'm looking for. For the shoulder pauldrons, again, really, really simple. So we're looking at number 80, which is for his left. And again, I'm just flooding the inside of the actual pauldron itself. And then we just slot that into place, like so. And then finally we move on to his buddy, the right hand side. Now, the one part that I really not enjoyed throughout this entire build is this last part, which is this little shoulder mounted shield. I don't like placing it. I don't like how it looks on the model. But I specifically, damn me, I just don't think it works on the model itself. Now, if this takes me over the time, I'm going to be very upset. He says, knowing full well that he's got a good hour to play with here. This isn't working at all. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have glued this on ahead of time, because this is a right pain in the backside. So the glue does actually dry quite quickly, so you've kind of got to be quite right. That should do it. There we go. I'm just going to put a little bit on the side to seal, and a little bit on the front to get rid of my fingerprint. And then finally, we just get a head. Now, I've been using the Terminator heads for pretty much all of them apart from the champions, and I'll show you those guys in a moment. They have more of a flesh or a hooded look, quite similar to the knights, but overall they are quite good. Now finally, I'll just pick this dude up, bit of glue in his head hole, place in the helmet, not at a jaunty angle, and that shoulder thing's just come off. Brilliant. Everything was going so well until I started filming. Dear me. And there we have it. One final Terminator ready to add to the guys. 10 hours and 46 minutes. That's how long it took to build 22 models. So that is the battle force now fully built. And I'm really quite happy. I'm loving seeing them all together. And adding them in with the Deathwing Assault box that I've fully built as well, it kind of brings it all together that I know now that it's just time to paint and to base and to do the other really fun bits that I enjoy about this. So let's review and let's have a think. And let's have a talk about it. So we've built quite a few models, and one of the things that I found as time progressed was that I was becoming more proficient in sort of the process, and I was taking a lot of joy in the process as well. And what was really frustrating is in the clip that you've just seen there, that was the final model, and that was the only time where I think it's called swarfing. It's what you do when you build Lego or large kits of Lego, where you put everything in specific places and they're all prepared, and it's literally just a case of grab, do, grab, do, grab, do. And so I did that for that last model, and it took me that was the quickest I'd actually built a Terminator. The quickest time before that was 23 minutes, and that one took us 19 minutes. And I know I know we're just talking about a 4-minute difference here, but when you're trying to do a challenge in 12 hours, that makes all the difference. Now, thankfully, I came in well under target there of the 12-hour mark, so I'm really quite happy with sort of that side of things. So let's actually have a look at what I've built. So first and foremost, obviously, there's Lionel Johnson. Now, the Lion, it is in a sub-assembly at the moment because just for painting access, but everything's ready for me to progress with. Next, we have the Inner Circle Companions. Now, the Inner Circle Companions, I actually quite like the look of in comparison with the Terminators and the Knights. I think they're quite they sort of scream like old Knights Templar, and I like that aesthetic. It's quite cool. We then have the Chaplain. Now, obviously, I've done a second Chaplain already, and he's a bit converted and different, but I've put them side by side. Obviously, the converted one's currently on a base with the shield on his back, and the one that I haven't done is off the base, just next to it. And comparatively, I enjoy what they look like. I think they're pretty cool. Now, we move on to the Deathwing Knights themselves. Now, the Deathwing Knights, there was quite a lot of them to build in this, but obviously they've come out really, really nicely. The Knights, I have 5 which have the large mace. Now, rules-wise, they look ridiculous. It looks as if they're effectively tank killers, which is a joy to behold. And then the other 5 I have with power swords. Now, each of the 5 have a leader. So on screen now you can see the leaders next to each other. Obviously one which is slightly converted. I took a Deathwing Knights long sword, and I've kind of affixed it to the body of a knight, and it kind of works. I had to do a little bit of jiggery pokery with the arms, but outside of that it looks quite cool. And the issues that I had with the placement of the actual shoulders themselves have been covered up quite nicely by the pauldrons, so I'm quite happy with that. And then it's just Watchers in the Dark and Teleporter Homers. Now, they are what they are. There's nothing really special I can say about them. They're just sort of little bit of ads in there. So overall, the Force, as you can see, looks epic. The Terminators stood next to the guys, next to the Knights, just Belial, the whole shebang look phenomenal, and I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Now, I did want to put a little bit of sort of a spin on this surrounding sort of something I mentioned in my previous clip, which was calm. I find this hobby is a very calming environment, and even if it's frustrating, such as those silly little shoulder shield things, the lance shields as I call them, even if there's little frustrations like that, it doesn't detract away from the calm, and it doesn't detract away from how much of a flow state you can get yourself into, and how much of a relaxing, sort of cathartic, sort of mellow feeling. And that's one of the things that I want to convey in these videos, and and this is something that I felt myself throughout the entirety of this process. Even though I had a time pressure of 12 hours, I didn't feel that pressure because I was enjoying my time, and I think that's half the battle. And I think if you can find your little bit of calm within your hobby, it helps outside of the hobby, and it helps ground you a little bit. And this is kind of what this process and this project has done for me so far. It's helped sort of steady the tides of what's going on in my real world life. Don't worry, everything's fine. It's just work stress, because work's just absolutely manic at the moment. But that's another thing. So overall, I'm really happy. Now, the next step is going to be basing, but that's the next video. But that video is not going to come out for a few weeks yet. I'm going to have a little bit of a break from the Dark Angels, because there are a couple of different things going on in the Necromunda universe that I want to tackle, such as I've got my Fear Cats and I've built them up, and I also have 2 Jews which I need to paint up as well, because my Necromunda campaign starts in about a week's time. So I want to get them done, get them boxed off, get them in with the gang, and actually get playing some Necromunda. I also have a Chimerics to paint as well, which I'll hopefully be buying into the gang at some point. So I think I'm going to get those 4 models painted, and that's the next video you're going to see. So next week, back to Necromunda, get some painting done, back to some painting. I can't wait. It's been a good week and a bit since I've actually been able to do any painting, so I'm really looking forward to, getting the paintbrush out again. So all I'm going to say now, guys, is thank you very much for watching. If you've liked the video, I've tried to condense it down a little bit. This video could have easily been, a good hour long, 45 minutes, hour long video, but I thought I'd try and keep it clean and condensed. So if you've liked the shorter form type idea and the different angles that I've done and all that sort of thing, please feel free to drop a like. If you're new around here and you want to see the progression of the Dark Angels build, feel free to subscribe. There's loads of other content that I'm doing surrounding Necromunda, and there will be some more Kingdom Death in weeks and months to come, so feel free to stay around for that. That'll be really cool. And that's pretty much all I've got to say. So have a little look through my link tree, guys. Feel free to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'll be uploading the 2nd episode of my podcast on Saturday, I think it's going to be. So look forward to that. And if you want to watch a test painting video about my Dark Angels progress prior to me building all of these guys, click the link on screen now. Anyway, I've been Matt. This has been my beard, and have a good day.